Yes, yes. Ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, thank you for tuning into the Fletch Factor podcast today. You are listening to the Starting Battery Show, a new edition of the Fletch Factor podcast, a new show of the Fletch Factor family. I am Fletcher Sheehan. With me is David Higgins, and we are today's Starting Battery. So, yes, we are going to be talking a little bit of baseball today. We have got the audio going. We've got the video. If you're already watching us, you already know that. So we are now ready to talk some baseball here on the show. We did a show on the Fletch Factor about a couple weeks ago. Just to recap a little bit, we went division by division. It was very long, but I actually took the time to sit down and listen to the entire thing start to finish yesterday. And there's a lot of cool stuff that we hit, and I want to just touch one thing real quick. We'll check back in with this periodically, but for those who may not have listened to the last show, we did a little snake draft at the end, took some bits and pieces, did a little draft, and here are the teams that we came up with for this 2021 MLB season. Team Fletch, starting with the Padres rotation, the Yankees bullpen, the Houston Astros infield, and the Dodgers outfield. Team Dave, the Yankees rotation, the Rays bullpen, the Mets infield, and the Braves outfield. So for you listeners at home, reach out to us at the Fletch Factor, Instagram, Twitter, really any social media platform, and let us know which team would you rather have, which team you think is going to do better through this regular season through 162 games. And we look forward to that correspondence. So without further ado, Dave, how are you, my friend?
Not doing too bad, Fletch. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we got this set up remotely so we can do a little bit of video, a little bit of audio. And I'm just happy that baseball is back. I'm happy that there's games on TV. I'm glad I got something to watch that's not Jordan Spieth folding like a lawn chair every Sunday on the PGA Tour. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm excited to talk about some games, what happened opening weekend, and what we see moving forward.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm glad you brought up that about Jordan Spieth. So we are in Masters week already. How about that?
We
like,
are.
It seems like it was just a few months ago.
Because it was.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But
we should do this all the time. We should have the Masters every 6 months. I like that.
That's so great. But yeah, so would it be fair to say that I might be able to bring you back on for a Masters show?
I think we could do it. I got some hot takes on that, and I think it's going to be a very interesting week.
Yeah,
very interesting week.
It's always exciting. I always do the Fletch Factor fantasy show for the Masters. But again, Masters is so great because there's so many ways you can go at it. People bet it straight. There's all kind of weird, fun ways to enjoy the Masters. So I think we can make a really good show out of it, and it'll be fun. So we are a weekend, 3 games, 1 series into the MLB season. And I think it would be only fair to start by talking about our Miami Marlins, because that's really where, again, that's kind of where this podcast was founded. It centers around the Miami Marlins. But I got to say, I got to throw a couple things out there before I let Dave go on. And that is, I was looking at some statistics before we jumped on the show, and so far one of the things that I hit is still sort of a worry for me. Granted, we're 3 games into the season, so it's hard to really start waving flags at this point. But the bullpen is still a little scary to me. Like, I feel like most of our runs have been given up in the bullpen. We had a few, one game that we gave up a lot of runs. But other than that, it really wasn't that bad.
I think every single run has been given up by the bullpen.
That's what I'm saying. Our starting
I believe it has been every run, unless Eliezer gave up a run yesterday.
I think Eliezer gave up one.
Yeah,
I think he gave up one.
He did.
But yeah, so a good thing. I mean, obviously, thumbs up for our starting pitching. I texted Dave during opening day. His hot take on Sandy Alcantara so far is on point, which usually his pitching takes are, for all those of you who have not listened to him before. So things going good. I know he's pretty excited about one of the guys we're going to see in this Cardinals series by the name of Trevor Rogers.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, this rotation just, as we both kind of said, I think it will just continue to amaze people. I mean, it's young. Everyone, again, we talked about it. We beat it like a dead horse in the last episode about how everybody thinks the Marlins are just going to be this bottom-dwelling organization, and for another year, it's going to finish in last place. Yet we made the playoffs last year. Yeah. But we do go back to I think really the same rules as 2019. I don't think anything's really changed per se in that aspect, where it's basically still the National League does not have the DH. I think it's back to the regular playoff format, if I'm not mistaken. Still there, Dave?
Nah, you just froze. Here you are. You're back.
Okay, what did you catch last?
Just talking about the rotation.
Yeah, a rotation. Just yeah, like I said, it's going to surprise a lot of people. Again, we're young, but again, we hit it like a dead horse in the last episode. Everyone seems to think we're going to be bottom dwellers, even though we made the playoffs last year, which is actually kind of a good little segue into the next sort of conversation point, which is I think we're pretty much going back to what the rules were in 2019 with the not expanded playoffs and pitchers hitting in the National League. So what kind of impact do you think that's going to have on the Marlins this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to be difficult for the Marlins, I think, because we want to have Garrett Cooper hitting and we also want to have Jesus Aguilar in the lineup. We've seen it so far this week that they said, hey, let's just throw Coop in right field. Obviously, he's probably the slowest guy on the team. He might even be slower than Aggie is. But, you know, it looks like we're going to find ways to mix him in. I mean, like yesterday we gave Duvall the day off and he came in and he hit a pinch hit homer. You know, Aguilar's sitting there. He's their third hole hitter. He's not going anywhere. I mean, he's been hitting the ball really well. I wish we did have that DH spot. I mean, I don't really care if Sandy Alcantara can hit. I don't really care to see Pablo Lopez swing the bat. But the reality is the rules are the rules for everybody. You know, I think it would make a lot of sense if maybe pitchers took a little more batting practice than they do now. I don't know how many pitchers actually hurt themselves at the plate, even though somebody did this spring. I forget who that was. But, I mean, look, we're going to work with the rules that are given. I mean, look, yeah. One run on a solo bomb. But, I mean, I think it looks good for us right now. I think all things are trending in the right direction. You know, as I said, Cooper had a home run the other day. Duvall had that pinch hit homer. And so I think things are looking up.
Yeah, I mean, I want to hit on something you just talked about, which is you talked about the whole like, and I really think it's a misconception. I think it's kind of a fallacy that, you know, pitchers shouldn't hit because they're going to get hurt. Like, I feel like if any place that pitchers are going to get hurt, it's either on the mound or fielding their position. Like we saw the Soroka injury last year, which was probably the biggest injury of any pitcher last year, or like the Tim Hudson thing covering first base. Like that's where pitchers are getting hurt.
Yeah,
I don't think
they're not getting hurt taking hacks.
No, they're really not. Everyone's like, oh yeah, well, you know, you might pull the hamstring running the bases. Well, so did Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, if that was the case, and Carlos Zambrano would have been on the DL his entire career.
Right. Like I think that that's a big cop-out answer to people who are American League fans that don't want to put their pitchers in the lineup because they want to just spend money on guys that can't play the field.
And it's like the marginal difference in effort you have to make as a pitcher to take a couple extra swings during batting practice or just to go home and hit in the cages. I mean, the marginal difference is probably an extra 2 hours a week of work. That's not very strenuous. It's just hitting the ball. I mean, obviously you can get a sore shoulder from it. You don't want to be taking BP the day before or the day of a game. But it's like every single one of these guys pitched in high school and they hit in high school. None of these guys were POs in high school. You know, it's always the best athletes that end up being the guys who are on the major league roster. It's not the guys who are the Jake Silvers of the world who sat there long toss, sat on the couch, and did nothing the rest of the time, right? They're all people who played their position, like Jacob deGrom, right? I mean, that's a guy who played shortstop in college. I think it was his junior, senior year in college when he started throwing the ball off the mound. But, I mean, dude, if you take an extra 2 hours, 3 hours a week hitting in the cages, even just if you're practicing bunting, I mean, that's a major difference. If you can have pitchers that are hitting somehow slightly above the Mendoza line compared to people hitting .063, I mean, that's huge in the long term, you know, the season. And it's like in the American League, everybody's DH is relatively close together, right? You're a guy who hits 270, you expect 30 homers out of him, try to get 100 RBIs. But in baseball, you expect every pitcher to hit 100 and nothing more. If you can have a couple guys that can go hit 210, 215, 220, I mean, that's a game changer throughout the course of 162 games. It's like instead of debating should we have the DH or should we not, why don't we just stop throwing away at-bats as pitchers? Why don't pitchers take a little more responsibility over their hitting? And almost every pitcher you talk to in the American League loves to hit. None of them want the DH. So, I mean, if we just gave them a little more free reign to go and practice and work on their ABs, it's like, dude, no, you know, pitchers aren't going to hit 300 unless you're Ohtani, right? Or Mike Lorenzen or somebody, or Zambrano or Dontrelle Willis, or those guys we knew could hit, Josh Johnson even. But to be able to hit 200, to be able to be slightly over the Mendoza line, I don't think that's asking a lot. And it's just such a major advantage for a team if they're able to do it. And nobody's exploited it. I bet if the Tampa Bay Rays were in a National League team, you could guarantee their pitchers, or even the Oakland Athletics, I can guarantee those pitchers would not be throwing away at bats like every other team in the NL does.
Yeah, it's, again, to me, I feel like it's almost fighting a hopeless cause to try to fight my position here with pitchers hitting, but it's like, even we're seeing it, I think, even in the younger spots of baseball where these guys are getting drafted, guys, again, the ones that are the most obvious to me, Hunter Green and Michael Lorenzen, who these guys, I mean, maybe not Lorenzen, but these guys potentially could have been drafted as hitters. You know what I mean?
A lot of them were.
That's what I'm saying.
A good amount of them were.
But here's the thing. What I don't understand is, like, even in the situation where it's like, okay, you know, you get drafted, okay, you're going to be a pitcher now. And okay, maybe you don't see at bats, but like some of these, but they're like, that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these guys don't have that, like, helpless Ishmael Valdez, hopeless approach at the plate where, like, they basically are telling them not to swing because there's no way they're making contact anyway.
Yeah, I don't think Glasnow took a hack his 2-3 ABs. He didn't take a single hack.
Well, that's part of where I'm going with this is, like, I listened to I was watching the Marlins the other night. It was I think it was the game Pablo Lopez pitched. They were talking about that.
Game 2.
Where Glasnow, they were talking about Glasnow approaching Cash in spring training, knowing that his first start of the season was going to be in the Marlins Park, or as it's known now, the Lone Depot Field.
Lone Depot Park, yeah.
Lord, how long is that going to last?
What a great title.
I don't think that name sees 2022.
I don't think the housing market seems 2022, so I think Lone Depot is going to have a tough time with that one. Might as well call him Bear Stearns or something.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about the housing market, tune into Dave's podcast over on the Political Network. Anyway, yeah, I mean, like, Glasnow approached Cash. He's like, hey, man, you know, can I take some at-bats in spring training? You know, can I do some BP? And Cash basically just told him no. Like, you're only going to see like 4 at-bats this season, so just don't swing the bat and don't get hurt.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I think that's a fallacy. I think it's not true that pitchers are going to get injured at the plate. I mean, unless there's like a fight and there's a retaliation and someone's getting the ball thrown at their head kind of a thing. But again, I think MLB and I think umpires kind of protect against that anyway. So pitchers are, again, sort of protected. But that does sort of bring up another good talking point with pitchers hitting and, you know, pitchers, that being a part of the game. So actually, before I shut the door on this conversation, is baseball a better game with pitchers hitting? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think so. If we actually found a way to make it so that pitchers are trying to hit, yes. When pitchers aren't hitting, no. I mean, obviously there's the token moment where someone like Josh Johnson or D-Train goes up there and hits a bomb and it's super exciting, or Jose Fernandez. If we're going to keep it the way it is, where pitchers don't do anything, they throw away at-bats, then maybe not, right? But in a world where we expect a little more out of pitchers to hit above the Mendoza line, I think baseball is better that way. But the way it's played now, it's hard to argue for it.
It really is. I mean, again, from a DFS perspective, I was just talking about this on my podcast last night, where it's like, I really kind of go out of my way to try to start pitchers pitching against National League lineups because you get that basically extra out and potentially 2 more strikeouts.
It's an extra 3 Ks a game.
That's what I'm saying for the majority of the game, and which leads me into my next conversation piece, which is Jose Barrios, who I started last night, who I pretty much had that one pegged. He went out and was no hitting the Milwaukee Brewers and got yanked and a no hitter. So. Again, look, I understand the idea of this guy is basically a borderline ace. He's like the number 2 guy. And again, it's early in this. It's the first game of the season. They got to extend. I get all that, but it's like, in reality, how many opportunities does a pitcher really get to throw a no hitter?
None.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you could say it's every start, but I mean, it is a long season though. I don't know how many pitches he was at. To be honest with you, I haven't checked that out. I mean, I know the Twins ended up winning that game 2-0, which is kind of all the crazier. But, I mean, it is early on in the season, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, people like Sixto Sanchez, he's not even playing in the big league club right now. They're saying, look, I think his first start of spring training was maybe 2 weeks ago. He went 2 innings. He's just getting a feel for the fastball. I don't think he threw very many sliders, a lot of change-ups. And that's what he's going to be focusing on from here on out. Even though now we can go into the fact that it's a shoulder inflammation and we might not see him for a little longer than we thought we would. And Edwin Cabrera is kind of in the same boat. But I understand you want to protect your pitchers, that it's a long season coming off a very short season. But in reality, if you've been playing this game for a long time, I don't think the short season's really going to affect your endurance as much as they think it will. But who knows? I mean, obviously, you'd rather be right and not be wrong halfway through the season when guys are getting dead arm and fatigue, and then you're going down the stretch just searching for pitchers. You don't want to be the Anaheim Angels like they are every single year doing that. So I don't know. It's tough to say, but again, it's like sometimes the decisions come back to bite you, just like Kevin Cash in the World Series, pulling Snell, you know?
Yeah, I mean, here's my kind of feeling about that is let's talk about the pitcher as an individual at this point. Like, granted, I understand, the value of the team and protecting their investment and all that stuff. I get that. But I guess what I'm kind of getting after is, does that pitcher himself kind of deserve to have a say? Like, don't get me wrong, everyone wants to win a World Series. I mean, I understand the whole reasoning behind yanking them, but from a pitcher or from an individual player's perspective, like, you've worked your whole life to get to this MLB stage. Now you're here, and you got the opportunity to basically maybe not solidify a Hall of Fame, but really
you make history.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You make history, and you may never. I mean, like I said, you don't get many opportunities to do that. So I don't know. I personally feel for the pitchers who get in that situation. I feel like they almost should.
I've done it to somebody.
Oh, look who I'm talking to. Look who I'm talking to. A guy who
I've done it to somebody.
Guy who got pulled with a perfect game himself. The funny part.
And I went in for somebody else in the last inning who had a no-hitter going.
Wow.
So I've been on both ends of the ball.
Did you finish the no-hitter?
I did finish the no-hitter.
Okay. Can I ask who it was?
Jake Silver.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was very unhappy. That was one of his notorious temper tantrums for sure.
Oh my God.
It was supposed to be my start anyways, though, so I didn't feel bad about it.
Was that the no, it wasn't the Jake Silver got the courtesy senior night start.
No. This was before this. This was when we were like 14, 15, something like that.
Gotcha. Oh, what's funny, actually, kind of a sidebar here. You know who I came across on Facebook the other day was Coach Louie.
Coach Louie, yeah. No, he posts a lot of stuff. Louis Siciliano, he's out there grinding.
Yeah, the Reds fan.
He's got a lot of guys. He is a big Reds fan. I mean, he played in the Reds farm system for a couple of years. But he's got some pretty good players. I mean, he's got the shortstop at Ole Miss. We have Isaiah Thomas at Vanderbilt. We have Austin Smith, who I don't know if he's still playing for the Padres organization, but he played for us for a little bit. He has a lot of guys who are at big-time D1 schools, and people have been drafted. So aside from myself, I think his program's done pretty well.
Well, let's rewind for a second and say that if Dave actually took his baseball career seriously, he probably could have played somewhere at the next level.
Or if I had an arm, I think the arm would help.
Well, again,
the hammer can only get you so far.
Yeah, but when you were in high school, it was like, all right, Riddle, like, I'll be on I will grace the Wellington Wolverines with my presence and be in the bullpen, because I'm that kind of guy, but I'm not going to be running the polls.
I was Riddle's entertainment.
Exactly. You weren't running the polls. You weren't making we knew where the end of the road was for you, put it that way, and you enjoyed your time.
I enjoyed my time. Very proud of my time.
So going back to the Marlins for a minute, I got to say, I'm really impressed with our middle infield right now. Miggy Rowe just continues to hit. Would you agree with me to say he's the most underrated shortstop in baseball?
Undoubtedly. And I heard them saying, I think it was the Cardinals broadcast, the last game of spring training. And they made a comment that, if this was any other team, they go, Miggy Rowe's a good player. He's a good shortstop. But if this was any other team in the league, he would have no chance of starting. And I thought to myself, I'm like, didn't the dude hit 320 last year? Like, what other team is a shortstop hitting 320 that's just going to scoff at that? It's like, dude, how about you look at your own roster and what your shortstop's hitting, and then think about that comment.
Yeah,
it's like the guy's been in the big leagues like 8 years now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Oakland A's right now with Elvis Andrus would gladly take 320 out of the shortstop spot.
Seriously.
Like, yeah, I mean, honestly, and he's versatile too. He can play anywhere on the infield.
He can play the outfield if he wanted to.
Yeah, and then you got Jazz Chisholm right now, who's hot again. And I think he was kind of my pick. I think he was the guy that I thought was going to have to be the second baseman that stepped up. I mean, look, John Birdie's hitting the ball, doing fine. He's getting on base.
Yeah,
like
he is.
He'll be
he had a big, huge hit yesterday.
Yeah.
Huge double down. Or no, it was 2 RBI single down the right field line.
I think it was yesterday he got the start, didn't he, Birdie?
Yes, he did get the start. Yes, he got the start yesterday. No, third. He started at third. Jazz started at second. BA got the day off.
Okay.
And then, Coop was in right field. Duvall got the day off. Came in with a pinch hit homer. And then Cooper homered too.
Right. It's just so funny to me. Like, people always classify the Marlins park is such a pitcher's ballpark. Yet I feel like every game I watch, there's 1 or 2 home runs that go out.
Oh, and a lot of them are off the facade of the upper deck from a lefty.
That's what I'm saying.
And I mean, we brought in the fences even more. It's only 400 to straightaway center now.
Right.
And I mean, take a look back at 2012, 417 with a 10-foot wall. I mean, you had to have like a projected distance of 430 just to get out. I mean, the amount of balls that were hit, like 415 absolute bombs to straightaway center that were routine fly balls, was asinine.
Yeah.
And now that we actually have the pitching, and there are a lot of strikeout guys. The bullpen's more pitch to contact, but most of our starters are strikeout guys. Even though, Sandy throws a nice sinker and he gets a lot of ground balls. I mean, we brought the fences in big time, and people are still hitting nukes out of there. I mean, pretty much every homer that was in this past series would have gone out regardless of if the fences were brought in or not.
Yeah, I mean, so backtracking just a second. So bring Garrett Cooper back into the face of the conversation again. This was a weird thought I had, and maybe he's just, I don't want to say uncoordinated, but maybe it's just not a realistic expectation. But do you think it would make more sense to put Anderson in the outfield and maybe have have Cooper play third base?
I don't know. I mean, Brian Anderson could easily win a Gold Glove this year. He got some votes last year for a Gold Glove. I don't think it makes sense to do that. I mean, Brian Anderson led baseball in WAR last year for third baseman, which is a stat not most people know, depending on how much emphasis you put on WAR. And I mean, Cooper, I mean, the idea is, platooning. I mean, this is just where we want the DH. This is just where we want the DH.
It seems like all our power bats are right-handed.
They are. I mean, except Jazz, who's hitting the ball unbelievably hard, but we'll get there too. It is tough because it's like, obviously, Aguilar can't play the outfield. Anderson could easily play the outfield if he wanted to or if he needed to. But, I mean, I think it makes more sense to throw Cooper in right field and have him kind of be like a Stanton guy.
Yeah, I guess that makes it. Yeah. Do you remember? That's the other funny thing, too. Like, do you remember how bad Stanton was?
Horrible defender. And now he has a couple Gold Gloves.
That's it. You remember watching him kicking it around out there?
Oh, it's horrible. Like, it was absolutely horrible for a few years.
I mean, again, give that guy so much credit. I mean, that guy really turned himself into a great. I watched him save games out there in right field. Were you with me?
Yeah.
You there with me the game?
Yeah, when he had the diving. Well, that was the game that he took Shelby Miller deep twice, hit one off the windows and left.
Yeah, then he dove on the warning track and left to save the game.
Yeah, that was arguably his best game, like, ever.
Yeah, just like that's the reason for me. Like, I guess part of the reasoning, like, I guess you're trying to preserve his health by just making him a DH. But
I think that's what's hurting him offensively. I think that's really what's hurting him offensively with the Yankees is just having that relief to go out there and play the field and do something else and focus on something else against ABs. I mean, we all know Giancarlo Stanton's a head case. He's my favorite player of all time. He's a guy who never complained about being under the ownership of Jeffrey Loria or literally having his GM, Dan Jennings, who's never managed a baseball game over T-ball level, decide he's going to be the manager. He dealt with a lot. He never complained. And, he always worked to make himself better. But, dude, he's a head case. And when he's sitting there in the Yankees dugout, wondering if he's going to get booed the next AB, sitting there looking at old swings every single AB, every single half inning in the dugout, it's like, dude, let the guy go play and then let him go react when he's at bat. Because, all he does is he's sitting there knowing, 0-2, I'm getting a slider down and away, and I'm going to swing at it. And he's telling himself that the entire game. And then what happens when it's important? Yeah, he hits the bomb. I mean, he did have a very good postseason, though. He did have a very good postseason. But, it's like, we all know that 2 guys are on, he's striking out. If they're down 3 runs, no one on base, he's going to hit the ball 490 to straightaway center. But I really think they need to give him some more time in the outfield, which they say that's going to preserve his health, which, if it does, it does. He's a guy who's just never on the field, but he always hurts himself. He pulls his hammy running to first twice a year.
Yeah, And part of it, I hate to put it this way, but it just seems that way, that part of it could just be some of these guys being that big that their body.
It is, dude. It is. I mean, that's not a baseball body. I mean,
like,
if you watched The Last Dance and heard Michael Jordan talking about how when he went from the White Sox going back to the Chicago Bulls, that he could not play and sustain his success in the postseason that first year because he's like, look, I still had a baseball body. I had to slim down. I had to do more core. I had to focus on that, not just getting big like you do in the NBA. And I mean, that's exactly what it is. And they talked. I think Cashman said something. I think it was Cashman. He was like, "Yeah, we finally told Judge and Stanton to kind of lay off the heavy weights because they got to be pliable and flexible, and that helps Stanton to get some of those outside pitches too." But they just you can't. The only guy to ever do that successfully is like Bo Jackson and Frank Thomas. And they're just freaks in nature. And I mean, so is Stanton and Judge. But at the end of the day, if they could slim down a little bit, I mean, I think that goes a long way in their health because when you're that muscular, everything's just so tight. And it's hard to get loose. And when everything's tight, it's easier to make things snap. And that's what we see every single year with them pulling muscles and being out for 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing was I never really expected this but one of the guys that, I mean, was – in my opinion, one of the most famous falling under that category, and I wasn't even a baseball player, was Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, he was really one of the biggest guys, kind of, I mean, not ever
in anything.
I mean, there were guys that were always taller, but they were skinny. He was just a big monster of a human being that, again,
huge guy.
Even in his sport, running up and down the court all game, I mean, that takes a toll on your knees, your hips, all your joints. And I saw a picture actually of Aaron Judge next to Shaq, and like Aaron Judge made Shaq look small. Like this guy is a freaking giant person. Like we saw him at the home run derby. Like this guy's massive, and it kind of, I hate to say it, but it kind of makes sense that his body isn't really holding out through 162 games.
That's a lot of weight to support. And obviously, you build more muscle, you get stronger. That's going to give you a little more of that. But I mean, I think it just goes without being said. I think that's definitely one of the biggest issues they have is that they're too muscular. They're doing too much in the weight room, and that gets them hurt. And you see that in every sport, like you said, with Shaq, any of these guys. So I think if they slim down a little, it would be very beneficial. And it's like, are they really going to lose that much power? No. They're still 6'6" and 6'7", and they're still jacked. You lose 20 pounds, and you just slim down. Do Pilates, do yoga, do something. Just get all that weight in your core. Just transfer that weight and hit bombs. I mean, does it really matter if Giancarlo Stanton's homers go 465 instead of 480? No, they're still over the fence.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the thing that always freaked me out about Stanton and Judge too, when I saw him hitting the home run derby, is, and I think I've heard the similar things about Jason Hayward, Acuna. Like when these guys strike the ball, it's a different sound. Like they're hitting bombs because they can square the hell out of the ball with the velocity of the bat. It's not even so much that they're that. I mean, obviously they're freak strength, but
they are.
It's not a guy like, I mean, pick a name out of a hat, Justin Bohr, that's just a fat lob swinging out of his ass.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impressive. You and I'll never forget one of the homers I saw Stanton hit that literally cleared the Budweiser bar in left field at Marlins Park. It was just,
we were there that game.
That was
that St. Louis game.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was just like, what?
490. I think it was 495.
Unreal. Yeah, everybody getting the free
went out the windows.
Budweiser bar.
Yeah, and that's the other thing we're talking about. Saying Marlins Park is such a pitcher's park, which it was. But it's like, dude, we're watching this guy hit the ball. I mean, we're watching guys hit bombs that barely get out, and then we're watching him go up there and just hit absolute mammoth homers that are literally leaving the stadium.
Yeah, I mean,
this guy hit it. The guy hit it out of Dodger Stadium. He's one of like 2 people to do that. It was like him and Mark McGwire.
Another one that's fun to put into that category, who, again, is one of those sort of potential breakout guys, I think, is Aristides Aquino, who's getting some reps for the Reds so far. He's got a home run already on the season. I actually watched him hit. He actually hit that scoreboard and left that Stanton hit when the Reds came to town. What was it, 2 years ago? Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. I'm kind of optimistic. Tyler Naquin actually hit the bomb today for the Reds.
Yeah.
So they look okay.
For those young guys, it's all about learning what not to swing at.
Oh, 100%.
You can hit without hitting balls in the zone, but if you can swing at mostly strikes, those guys are going to be really good.
It's funny, and like what we were just talking about the body shape of the baseball player. Joey Votto's body looks totally different right now. Like I realize he just had COVID, so that probably had something to do with it.
Yeah, I think he lost like 12 or 17 pounds or something with COVID. He had it pretty bad.
Dude, he is slimmed up, and his whole plate approach is like totally different too. Like he's standing like straight up, and he just.
Well, he's, before the season, he was like, look, I could walk and I could get on base at a 400, 450 clip, but it doesn't matter. The team needs him to hit bombs. And so he's that good of a player. I mean, think about it. How many players can you sit there and go, you know what? Yeah, we know you can walk 1 out of every 3 at-bats. We know you can get on a 450 clip. That would be almost all time in baseball. I know you can hit 310, but we really need you to hit 45 dingers this year. Can you do it? And he just flips a switch in a short offseason and just says, yeah, I'm going to do it. Then steps up and does it. It's just a testament to how good he is and how versatile he is. I don't think there's anyone else in the game, aside from Mike Trout, who did that a couple years ago. And when he did that, his strikeout rate almost doubled. So, I mean, and he's the best of all time. And to see that it was easier for Joey Votto to make that transition than even Mike Trout, that's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's already showing. I mean, Joey Votto, I think, has something like 4 RBIs already. He drove it in Castellanos too. By the way, Castellanos is just on another early season tear. We'll see if it lasts, but
and Votto's got more help this year. He's had no help prior to last year.
So I watched. Funny, we were ragging on this guy in the last show. I saw Nick Senzel at bat today. He actually did swing at really bad pitches. I was shocked, and he drew a walk, which is something he could not do for the last 2 years. So that's what needs to change for him. I mean, he's got all the talent defensively. I mean, he plays hard, he's fast, but he has got to change what he does in the box. And hopefully he will, because the Reds need help in center field. Because I hate to say it, Akiyama, I don't think is the answer.
I don't think he's the answer.
But the Reds, I think, are in first place right now in the National League. So far,
they are.
Prediction.
Mark it on your calendar. Yeah, that was my prediction. I did think they were going to win.
So I also said that if the Reds do go to the World Series, which nobody thinks is going to happen, but if they do, I'm dying Lucy red like Clifford.
Oh yeah, we got to do it.
Oh yeah,
we got to do it.
Yeah, you got to come home. You got to come home for that. If the Reds go to the World Series,
that happens. We're going to the World Series.
Oh my God, yeah, that'd be amazing.
We're probably, you know what, no one else. We're probably going to have a Rays Marlins NLCS.
Yeah, the Rays and the Marlins.
Or not the Rays, the Reds. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. That's exactly what happened. Like it seems like every time the Washington football team make the playoffs, they're always playing the Steelers or something in the postseason.
Yeah,
like,
something
I can
like
never catch
that.
a break.
Yeah. So I guess kind of transitioning on what you were saying about, him taking more pitches, finding better pitches to swing at. I think Jazz Chisholm's really, really changed the game with that. I think seeing his at-bats, there's some pitches he took that he would not have taken last year. I think his stance is almost a little more closed this year than it was last year, which I like an awful lot. He's hitting the ball to all fields, and he is just stinging the ball. I mean, I think his average exit velo is like 98, 99, something like that. And he's just stinging the ball to all fields. And it's not like it's his first year. This is his second year. And he struggled quite a bit last year. I think he shortened up the swing a little bit because he really was golfing the ball last year. He was just golfing the ball and swinging for the fences every time. And his launch angle is just so high that a lot of those he was missing. When you're adding an extra 20 feet in height and all that backspin to a ball, that's not going to help you. You got to hit some of those on a line more. He was doing that to both fields in this opening series. I mean, we saw him steal second and then steal third and then make it home easily with that giant dive at home plate on that shallow fly ball to right. I mean, he looks like a guy who could be rookie of the year in the National League.
How about that triple?
Yeah, that too. Unreal.
I mean, there's a difference between the average baseball watcher would not notice this like you and I would. But there's guys that hit the ball and there's guys that hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
And he's hitting the ball hard right now.
And that's why I'm high on Jorge Alfaro too. We haven't seen it yet this year, but he just stings the ball. And that's just one thing why I was always I knew Brian Anderson was a good player. I knew he's a guy who can hit 280, 290 for you. I know he's a serviceable third baseman. He's a great defender, but he doesn't, as I think as Rich Wallace used to say, Giancarlo Stanton's balls carry extra integrity with him. And that's the way I feel about those guys like Alfaro, Chisholm. I mean, even Lou Brinson hits the heck out of the ball, but he just doesn't hit the ball. And it's scary how good Jazz can be. I mean, I feel like he's gotten even faster than he was last year too. Because he can run the bases, but I didn't see this last year.
Yeah, it's definitely a step up. And honestly, the great thing is, in my opinion, because we talked about it in the last show, how the Marlins kind of had that competition in the preseason or in the spring training with who's going to win that job. And I think if whoever the guy is that wins, regardless, if they play well, I think it's a good thing because again, it's going to make those other guys that didn't win the job play harder. You know what I mean? It makes them want to compete, I think, harder for that job. If the guy comes in and wins the job and he hits 210, I mean,
It's that
then
internal competition like Jeter's been talking about since day
absolutely,
one. I mean,
absolutely.
like Asan, and that was the thing. Asan Diaz came into the season, his spring training press conference. He's like, "Yeah, I'm here to tell you that I am the second baseman for the Miami Marlins." Then Jazz Chisholm's just like, you know what? I'm just going to get better. I'm going to take the advice of all the veterans I can. I'm going to gain all the knowledge I can. I'm going to shorten up my swing. I'm going to try and swing at strikes. I'm just going to go out and play ball. Asan ended up hitting, I think, .70 in spring training. And Jazz, he had a good last couple of weeks that helped him a lot. He started off pretty slow, but he made adjustments within spring training while competing for a spot that was anybody's game. Not to mention John Birdie, who might have hit 300 last year. It came pretty close to it. I mean, Jazz has really just shown that he has kind of that quiet confidence about him, that real belief in what he's doing and his own talents. And I mean, he's showing it early on. So we'll see what happens.
I like him. I
I
do.
like him a lot.
My
I
boy
like him a
Chisholm
lot.
Jazz, dude. The old Chisholm Nader. So I'm looking at scores from today, seeing if anything jumps out at me here. So yeah, we still haven't seen the Mets or the Nationals play yet.
No, we haven't. Sounds like Miami Marlins of last year. I don't know when they're going to be able to play a game. I don't know how many positive tests there were. I heard there was one opening day, but I haven't seen if that spread to other people. I mean, I'm just amazed that a lot of these guys haven't had it already. I think that's something that might help the Marlins this year, as kind of odd as that sounds, is that many of them do have the antibodies from last season. We do have a pretty big difference in personnel, especially with the bullpen. But, I mean, I think that's going to help them. Like, we know Miggy Rose already had it. We know Brian Anderson's had it. We know Alfaro's already had it. Duvall, I don't know what his situation was with it. But I'm surprised they haven't either gotten it or gotten vaccinated yet, even though I think it's going to be this upcoming week. They're going to expand vaccine eligibility to adults of all ages. So, I mean, I'm sure Major League Baseball will probably take priority in doing that for these guys so we can avoid this. But it is unfortunate to see what happened with the Mets.
Yeah, that's it's exciting. So I'm just looking at the scoreboard for today. Just a lot of crazy stuff going around in baseball. So the Orioles 3-0 to start the season. Didn't just beat the Red Sox subtly, beat them 11-3 with 17 hits.
Jeez.
Like,
wow.
Yeah, I
Who
really don't think
knows?
anybody saw that one coming.
No.
But here's
But I mean, they're getting better though. They are getting better.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this the other day. Like, is there a possibility that we could see like a King Felix or a Matt Harvey end up either in Miami or Cincinnati?
It's possible. I don't think a King Felix is going to be in Miami. I don't think we need the pitching. I think
That's
we're
true.
very, very deep. I think Edwin Cabrera has a chance of coming up this year and being better than Sixto, better than Sandy, which is a scary thought. If we can have Sandy, Sixto, Pablo, Edwin, and then an absolute war for that fifth spot between Eliezer Hernandez and Trevor Rogers, who would either of them be a solid 3-hole in almost any rotation in baseball. I mean, that's scary. That's really, really scary.
Yeah, I mean, and again, as I said before, if it's me right now and I'm the Miami Marlins, like, and we're getting close to a playoff run, like, my number one concern is solidifying those last 3 innings in the bullpen.
It is. No, this is a year where if we are at the trade deadline and we're going well, that's where you're going to have to get rid of some guys you really, really don't want to in the minor leagues. You really desperately don't want to get rid of some of these guys. But you're going to have to go after, I mean, heck, you might have to go get Brandon Kinsler again. I mean, I don't know why we didn't keep him.
I mean, you got to do something. I mean, right now, look.
Even though he is a sinker ball, ground ball guy, and that's not what I like to see in the ninth inning, even though I am more of an old school pitching philosophy, I do still think that there's something about gassing it up 100 with a slider that's 92 in the ninth inning that's just adds to the pressure of trying to hit the ball in the ninth inning to save a game. But we got to get somebody with experience. But
Sorry, I think he froze there for a second.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah, I got you now.
Gotcha. All right. So we were talking about the Marlins bullpen, and yeah, I mean, even Dylan Floro came in, I guess it was yesterday, and gave up a run. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like, I mean, look, we've got a lot of good pieces. Don't get me wrong in the bullpen, but I
they're
feel like
very random.
right. But it's like if you get down into the dog days and you gotta get into a playoff series with a Braves, with the Dodgers, with the Padres, or even somebody in the NL Central. I mean, our starters are great, but you gotta be able to have the guys you can go to in those last innings to shut it down, because you're gonna have to face some bats, because these teams really don't have holes in their lineups.
No, they don't. And the Rays are a good hitting team, no question about it. Austin Meadows single-handedly won that series. But when you go and see the Mets, when you go and see the Phillies, when you go and see the Braves, I mean, it's scary. It's really, really scary to think. Because our starting pitching is so good. We didn't give up a run the first 2 games with starting pitching. And you literally cannot ask any more out of your starting pitching than to not give up runs. Then have guys who we spent pretty good money on, who all had sub-2, sub-3 ERAs last year, just come out there and blow it.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it with the Reds for a lot of years. It's in my opinion, the number one demoralizer you could bring to a team. Yeah. I mean, number 2 is probably, again, the repetition of your starting pitchers putting up 2 runs a game and you can't score.
Yeah,
kind of a thing. Like, that's probably number 2. But you just, I don't know, man. That's pretty much from what I've seen. And again, we're making assumptions off 3 games. Let's be fair here.
It is very, very early.
But again, if I was gonna say anything that I saw in the first series from Miami, that would be the spot that I would, because initially I was like, the first game of the season, we don't even score, we lose 1-0. I'm like, oh God, here we go again.
Yeah.
But the next 2 games, we shellacked the baseball.
We did.
I mean, it happened. Same thing with the Reds. The Reds just shellacked the ball for 3 games. So I'm happy about that. If Castillo doesn't, go out there as a pitching machine, then the Reds probably are 3-0 right now. But speaking of pitching machines, Cody Reed making the bullpen for the Rays.
Yeah. Wow.
Couldn't have used him against us.
Yeah, right. It's crazy. I mean, how does that guy have a job?
I don't know. He was like one of those guys that, like, always kind of like Homer Bailey, who always gave you a little bit of hope. Like, he would make one start and you'd go, okay.
He's like the Miami Dolphins, who's good enough every year to disappoint their fans.
Yeah, it's like me at the blackjack table. 1 or 2 hands. All right, this is it. It's turning around right now.
Yep.
Nope, there we go. There goes
then
4
boom, down $600 at Hard Rock.
Yep, you know it. So here's another great one. Opening day, Clayton Kershaw gets shellacked.
Absolutely shellacked.
Yeah, Scottman was on that one. He went the other way. He took the freaking Rockies.
I mean, that was in Coors, though, to give him all due respect, but it was also in Coors Field for the Rockies too. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Kershaw got his World Series. I think obviously by the middle of the season, I think he's going to tune it up. I think he's wise enough to know that he needs to take it easy, that he has a major, major team behind him, that he doesn't have to be the horse anymore, but he has to be a solid number 2 kind of starter, maybe number 3 kind of starter, regardless of where he actually is in the rotation. But, I mean, he'll figure it out. I'm not worried about it. I'm not expecting to see the massive decline of Clayton Kershaw. He's a real pitcher. He's an overhand breaking ball guy. He's a subtle slider guy. He's a fastball guy. He's a changeup guy. He knows what he's doing. So I don't expect him. I don't expect that to be an issue for him. It was in Coors Field, but it is interesting. It is interesting to say.
It's just the typical Kershaw choking big games thing.
It is. I mean, that's just. I mean, how many times can we go back to it? How frustrating it is that Clayton Kershaw finally gets the monkey off his back by winning the World Series, and it means the same as a normal World Series, but the Miami Marlins making that playoffs means absolutely nothing because it was a shortened season. So when the narrative fits for the pundits, Clayton Kershaw is a great World Series champ.
All right, I think I got you back there.
Yeah, got you back.
Anyway, so yeah, a couple more things to jump on here. So I'm kind of looking at. So I was looking actually at the Yankees because it looked like they only scored like 1 run today. They scored 2 on Thursday. So yeah, wow. They didn't hit the ball at all.
No, they didn't at
last year
all.
against the freaking Blue Jays, who've got some injuries in that rotation right now.
Does my sound better now?
Yes.
I totally did not have my microphone on the entire time.
Wow. I was going to say,
it was coming out of, yeah, this sounds much better. It was coming out of, it had a different input. I was like, what? Why is it like that?
Okay. Well, just so all you fans know, next episode, the sound will be higher quality and hopefully so will the connection.
Yeah. But this sounds good, right?
Yep. So here's another one. Tigers taking 2 out of 3 from the Indians. What jumps out more to you? Do the Tigers are they, interesting this year? Or are the Indians just that bad?
I think they are. I mean, Casey Mize, he's a real good arm. The Indians, it's hard to see that they're not going to be good this year. I don't know. It's just tough to say. It really is tough to say.
So here's the interesting question.
Casey Mize is on the Tigers. What am I saying? Or no, we were talking about that.
We were talking about the Tigers. The interesting question for me with the Indians is it's like if this season, which again, after we just saw them unload pieces not long ago, this could very well go very well south for them. Are there still pieces that we could see them unloading? Like I heard rumors about a guy like J Ram potentially getting unloaded at the deadline. Is there potential Bieber gets moved?
I don't know. It's possible. It just depends what's going on at the deadline. It really does. If they think they have a shot at this, they're going to do it. But it's impossible to say from here. It really is. It's so early. We don't know what's going to happen in the Central, and it's not the strongest division in baseball. So we'll really just have to see on that. I don't have an answer for that yet.
So staying in that division for a second, it's amazing to be Michael Pineda is still pitching in the major leagues and winning games and making double-digit millions. Like
absolutely insane.
But good for him. Good for him. Looks like I don't even know if he gave up a run. Maybe gave up one. So yeah, pitching some good baseball, Michael Pineda. So staying in that division though, the first Sunday night baseball game of the season, we've got the White Sox and the Angels, and it's Dylan Cease and Shohei Ohtani.
Big game. After Shohei hit an absolute dinger last night, or was it opening day? I think it was last night. After Pujols hit a nice dinger earlier in the I think opening day. He's
that guy's
back.
Still playing.
He's back. I think he's going to have a big year. I really think he's going to have a big year.
It's like
I think there was nothing better than a shortened season for Albert Pujols to just relax for a little bit and get his Glasher fanciitis or whatever the heck he's got going on his foot. Get that to stop being so inflamed. I really expect a lot out of Pujols, and I think next year when he comes back and plays for the Cardinals and signs that deal there, I think he's going to have a big year too.
Yeah, Pujols for a Reds fan is like that. It's like a rash that won't go away. Like
yep.
he's just still here. It's
like Julio Teheran with the Marlins. Nick Markakis is finally called.
Yeah, Teheran, isn't he pitching for the Tigers?
Yeah, I think he is pitching for the Tigers, or maybe it's the Indians.
Maybe it is the Indians.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's in that division somewhere.
Or no, the Royals. The Royals, I think it is.
Jesus, he's somewhere in that division. We know that
he's somewhere.
He's in the AL Central somewhere, trying to resurrect his career.
Yeah.
God, you would think at some point the Marlins would have just caved and signed that guy.
That's what I'm saying. How many times? There's never been a pitcher that pitches better than Marlins Park.
Marlins Park. Like the guy likes to pitch there. Like give the guy a chance.
And then we go, no, let's sign Randy Wolf.
Oh my God. Randy Wolf. We even gave Brad Penny a chance that year, I think.
Jeez, dude. Watching Brad Penny hit a double was probably the lowest point and the highest point of my Marlins fandom.
Yeah, all at once.
All at once.
Yeah, just absolute. Pujols. That's what I was gonna say. It's like,
yeah,
he's a funny guy because, like, again, he's like a guy as a Reds fan you really want to hate, but you just like can't. Like, he's not a bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't give you a reason not to like him.
He's like Jeter with the Red Sox. Anybody who's gone to a game at Fenway and seen Yankee Red Sox respects Derek Jeter.
Yeah, and you got to respect a guy who can prolong a career that long. Like, I can't tell you how many of my favorite players that I've watched that, again, could have not that aren't like the perfect example being Ken Griffey Jr. Like, you would have loved to see his career go on so much longer and had so much better statistics, but the guy just got hurt. Like Pujols, you got to give a guy credit for being able to prolong a career that long.
And he's had injuries for the past 10 years. He had injuries that first season with the Angels, and he just keeps hitting. He just keeps showing up to the ballpark and keeps hitting. He's not the same Albert that was hitting balls into Big Mac land, but he is still a very serviceable player. And I really think he's got 35 bombs in him this year. I really do.
I mean, in that ballpark in Anaheim, it's certainly possible. You definitely can't rule that out. Just trying to see if there's anything else interesting. And you notice anything else in this weekend you want to jump out? I mean, Houston went 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little concerning to see the Yankees drop 2 or 3. But there, I don't know how much there is to that.
I don't know. I like the Blue Jays,
Severino's
though,
on the IL. I do like the Blue Jays. Their baby blue jerseys were sweet. Were absolutely sweet.
Yeah. Those are fun. I kind of like that they went to the throwback jersey look from like the 90s or whatever it was. Like those jerseys they went to for a little while when they had like Vernon Wells and Roy Halladay were just like ugly.
They were weird.
Yeah, they were. They
had a very square look to them almost in the look.
Yeah.
Tried to be too slick with them.
All right. So let's okay, how about one more what do I want to look? One more, what's the word? I can't even think about it. Segment. There we go. So it looks like some of these series are looks like it's all new series. So let's take a look at what some of our upcoming series
on Monday.
So starting Monday, okay, we got the Twins and the Tigers, not really exciting. Blue Jays, Rangers, and Nationals, Braves. Who knows if that's going to happen with the Nationals?
Orioles, Yankees. That's the real series.
Yeah, Orioles, Yankees.
That's the real series.
Yep. Montgomery's going to get the start for the Yanks and Lopez for the Orioles. So we'll see if the Orioles can continue to just absolutely rake. Montgomery is definitely a guy you can hit.
Red should pick up 3 wins.
God, I hope so. I mean, getting to start the season, 2-1. Now we get to play the Pirates. Yep. Always like to get on that. Although we'll see what Jose De Leon has. Like I texted my buddy last night. I was like, how the hell can the Reds not end up with any better? Granted, Sonny Gray's hurt. I get that. But your bottom 2 guys, the guy who went today, who I've already forgot his name again. Oh, Jeff Hoffman. There we go. Guy has like a 6.5 career ERA, had an 8 ERA in spring training. Really? Like that guy made the starting rotation. And then Jose De Leon, who's just been terrible since they acquired him from Detroit like 2 years ago. So who knows? Maybe they fix something. But that's going to be the thing that gives me a heart attack for the Reds is this back end of the starting rotation. But yeah, Cardinals Marlins tomorrow. That's going to be a fun series. I look forward to watching that. Maybe I think I have tickets for that game tomorrow, so I might go.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I might
have Rogers going.
Yeah, go see Uncle Trevor.
Oh, dude, you have no idea how bad I wanted to bring you to the game with Dick Mountain pitching.
Man, dude, Rich Hill, man, Rich Hill,
dude. I wanted to bring the sign, Mountain.
Yeah, seriously, he's the second oldest player in baseball. I didn't know that. He's second oldest behind Pujols.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Guys, you just look at the guy. He looks like his skin is like melting off his body.
He debuted in like 08 or something, 09.
Yeah, crazy. Mets, Phillies. I mean, again, I don't know what the Mets situation is if they're a COVID issue too, but that could be fun. Rays, Red Sox. Okay, the Red Sox.
That's going to be a good
one. The other one's almost all. I mean, Astros, Angels could be good.
Yeah.
I feel like the Padres should just run over the Giants. The White Sox. Actually, the White Sox are wow. Okay, no, never mind, because there's a game tonight. It says the White Sox are 1-2, so I guess this is a 4-game set.
Yeah, a couple of them have the 4-game set. I think the Dodgers started with a 4-game set.
So the White Sox are playing tonight then.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are kind of weird. I mean, I know the Red Sox did like a shotgun start almost, and I think their opening day was yesterday.
Gotcha.
Or Friday, I mean, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so great. Yeah. Marlins get to face off against Uncle Ponce de Leon tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be exciting. And I mean, we played each other in spring training about 1 million times this year. So
yeah, no real secrets there.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be a pretty big offensive series. I mean, we've just seen each other so many times. I think we're all going to get shelled in that series.
Yeah. I mean, so one last take here. Don't get me wrong. Like I've watched enough National League Central baseball to not be naive, but tell you what, not seeing much out of the Cardinals right now.
No, we're not. I mean, as I said, I do not think Nolan Arenado's the answer. I mean, could he put him over the top to dominate? Maybe. But I don't know that the pitching's there yet. I don't know that. I mean, there's just no real. He is the centerpiece. And I just don't know if he's the answer. It's hard for me to disagree with them picking him up. I think it clearly makes them better. And I can't think of another move they would have made to make him better. But, dude, at that point, I would have said, screw it. I would have paid Nelson Cruz to play first base or something if you're trying to win now, I mean, that's an investment that's not costing you that much money, and you can pencil in 40 bombs. I mean,
what I'm trying to remember is what Arenado's contract is. Is this like an expiring contract thing? Is that why I'm assuming that the Rockies moved him, or is it just a big contract that they don't want to see like Stanton?
Yeah, I think
Let's
I don't
take
know
a
if he's
look.
going to be a free agent or not. I'm not sure. I think this was the last year of his deal. I think one of the problems the Cardinals have had too is that they've just gotten rid of so many good prospects to try and bring in guys. I mean, the guys they got rid of for Arenado. I mean, look, we have Sandy because the Cardinals got rid of him for one season of Marcell Ozuna. It's like, dude, if they had Sandy Alcantara on the mound for them right now, and obviously Marcell Ozuna was a bust for him. I mean, they've made some pretty bad trades. And that's very uncharacteristic for the Cardinals.
Right.
And every single Cardinals team they've ever had that's good has always been homegrown talent. They've always had a homegrown core, and they're just getting rid of those guys to try and sign these big name guys. It just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's not Cardinals baseball, and clearly it hasn't worked out in the way they thought it would.
Yeah, I mean, so this is interesting. So I'm looking at Nolan Arenado's contract right now. So it looks like the Rockies actually signed him to a huge deal, 8 years, $260 million, which again, and to some of these guys isn't crazy, but it's still a massive contract. Yeah. He doesn't become a free agent until 2028.
Wow.
So he's making really from 2021 to 2025, he's making $35 million a year.
I mean, maybe it's a somewhat, I don't know how much of the deal the Rockies are picking up. They're probably paying like $3-4 a year on it, so it makes it pretty player or team friendly.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the other thing too. He has a player opt out available after 2021 and 2022. So, and he's got a full no trade. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I guess again, like if this Cardinals thing doesn't work out, he can probably just opt out and go somewhere else or try to do whatever. But I guess theoretically, I mean, if the Cardinals have control over him, so I guess if you're gonna make a big trade for a big name, might as well be a guy you have control over.
Keeping. Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they learned that with the Ozuna deal.
Right.
They learned that with the Ozuna deal. I mean, they lost him after one season of having him. He was barely above replacement level, and they lost Sandy Alcantara and Magnus Sierra for him.
Yeah. How about Sierra on the base pass? That's a fun guy to watch.
It is. I mean, look, we were going to lose him if we didn't keep him on the 40-man. Or, I mean, if we didn't keep him on the 26-man roster, I guess it is now, because he was out of options. So I was really glad to see we kept him to keep him playing. I mean, he had a big hit in the Cubs series last year. He scored some runs for us.
Yeah,
so
I like him.
I still think he's good. I think there's a lot in that bat. I think we just have to stop telling him to hit homers. He's not a home run hitter. He's just not. Accept that. Do what he's good at. Allow him to do what his swing allows him to do. And I think he's going to be a very serviceable major league player.
Your job's to hit the ball on the ground and run.
That's it.
And he's a great National League player too, because you talk about the last few innings of the game. He's a great defensive replacement with all that speed in center. He can pinch run.
We did that a lot last year.
Yeah, he's
a lot of times at the end of the game.
If you want to use his bat.
A lot of the times at the end of the game last year, we'd put in Lou Brinson, we'd put in Monte Harrison, we'd put in Magneris, or we'd put in Hassan, and we just put guys with wheels out there. There's John Birdie, and that helped us a lot. I mean, the difference in having that guy on your bench and having that guy tagging from third instead of Adam Duvall is huge.
Aguilar, is that the other night?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, huge.
Speed kills. Speed kills.
It does.
And you know what? Unless there's anything else you want to bring to the table,
I think that's basically it, Fletch. I think this was a good opening show. Now that the microphone's on,
now that we figured out how to use our electronics.
Hey, it was working. It was working. I had the output coming from here, so I was like, well, I can hear it. It should be fine. Then I go, oh, it says it's using the internal mic. I should probably change that. So
hey, we got to start somewhere, right?
Tomorrow we'll do shapes, as I always say.
Tomorrow we'll do shape. Hey, what day can I take the ship out in the Atlantic Ocean? It's not till day 3.
It's not till day 3.
Throwbacks to Bassmaster Dave.
Bassmaster Dave.
Absolutely. I think that's just about going to wrap things up for us, Dave. Always a pleasure. And we'll try to get back to you maybe midweek or so, talking about the Masters and talking about how we are through 2 series of MLB baseball.
Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting stuff. A lot of good series, huge week. This is honestly one of the best. My favorite week of the year. It's championship week, Fletch. It is. It's the first week of baseball. It's a week of the Masters, and it's the week of the Final Four. Best week of the year.
That's right.
Best
And Victor Oladipo's playing for the Heat.
And Victor Oladipo's playing for the Miami Heat. I mean,
does it get better than that?
Yeah, we got to get the pink jerseys. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Thomas texted me the other day. He's like, yeah, I'm getting the Vic jersey. He goes, the black, not the Key West tie. I go, right, really? You're not going for the Taco Bus yellow? Like what? Why? I don't get why the Heat decided to come out with a yellow jersey.
I don't know.
Makes no sense.
Taco Bus, great tacos.
God, I really wanted to see UCLA beat Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. Oh my gosh, dude. I still don't understand how. If I'm a top 10 recruit, why would I possibly go play basketball at Gonzaga over Duke, UNC,
in the middle of Washington,
Florida State,
and play nobody,
Virginia, and play nobody? You play St. Mary's once a year.
It's like
their second biggest game is against San Francisco. I didn't even know there's a school called San Francisco.
By the way, just write this down now. If Gonzaga wins and they get the undefeated season, Thomas is getting the T-shirt.
We're going to be very upset. That's Indiana's record. They're the only team to ever do it.
Dude,
it was Indiana in 76.
Nobody has been a harder critic of Gonzaga since I've known him than Thomas.
No,
nobody.
No, and I'm right up there with him. I hate Gonzaga. I hate
Zags, dude. They choke every year. They tried to choke it away against UCLA, and the guy hit like a half-court buzzer beater.
Dude, you know that. Gosh, I mean, Baylor's got to win this game.
Got to.
They've got to win this game.
I'm rooting for him.
I am. I think everybody in the world is rooting against Gonzaga,
except maybe Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah. Kelly Olynyk's definitely a big Zags guy.
Yeah, he's got to be thrilled playing for the Rockets now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Dave. Always a pleasure.